In this video, we're going to be talking about the quantity of money in an economy and how do we measure that. So if we really wanted to find out how much or how many dollars are circulating in the United States, how would we get to that number? Now, that in itself is called the money supply, the quantity of money in a system. It's called money supply or it's called money stock. These terms are used interchangeably, but we will typically refer to this as money supply for future use. Okay, so we want to understand the quantity of money available in the economy, and for that we can use a simple definition which says that uh, we can count any currency that we have under circulation as money, and we can count any money that's sitting in people's checking accounts. Okay, so any demand deposits is the money that's sitting in people's checking accounts. So currency would include paper bills and coins that people have. So this is in the hands of the public, and demand deposits or balances in checking accounts would be the other component. So these are really balances in bank accounts that depositors can access by writing a check. Okay, and so we can basically say that money supply equals currency plus the demand deposits. Now notice, you might think that there are many other things that could go into the calculation of how much money is out there, but this is sort of the simplest definition that we're going to run with. Okay, but there are very many measures that we have to understand what goes into the calculation of money. So that brings us to this question of what are the measures of money in the US. Okay, and so we're focusing on money supply here. The first type of measure we're going to talk about is called M1. Now, economists aren't very creative, but M1 is the name of money supply, which is sort of this narrow definition of money, the narrowest of money, and sort of the more liquid definition of money. So this is just going to be what we said here. This is going to be currency plus demand deposits plus traveler's checks. Or any other type of checkable deposit. So traveler's checks, now you know what currency and demand deposits are, but traveler's checks are basically used for travel. They have been declining in popularity over time because of the surge in people getting credit cards when they travel. But traveler's checks are basically denominated in another currency. So let's say you were traveling to Mexico, you would need Mexican pesos to spend over there. So you could go to your bank, let's say it was Bank of America, you would go to Bank of America and you would say, well, give me for in exchange for $1,000, give me as many Mexican pesos according to the exchange rate. And so they're gonna deduct $1,000 from your bank account and issue you a check that is now denominated in Mexican pesos. and that is really just like cash, and you could take it to Mexico, and you could get cash back if you were at a store. So that's how it works, and typically there are numbers associated with it. Like each check has a number, and so it's sort of safe if, let's say, your wallet got stolen or something happened when you were in Mexico, then you could actually call your bank and get that check canceled, and they could issue you a new one. So it is a little safer than um, cash. Okay. You also have to sign when you exchange traveler's checks. So M1 is really the narrow definition of money, which includes assets that are really liquid, like currency or anything in your checking account or traveler's checks or any other type of checkable deposits. Okay, so we're going to take a look at what M1 and M2 are in the economy. But the next one that I want to talk about is called M2. Again, not very creative here, but easy to remember. So M1 is narrow. M2 is a little broader than M1. It includes everything that's in M1. Okay, everything that we just described. Plus, it is going to have savings deposits. So this is something that is in addition to your checking account, you might actually have a savings account. This is going to be also counted for in the calculation of how much money is there when we are thinking about M2. It could have small time deposits. It would have money market, mutual funds, and then there are some other minor categories. So a money market mutual fund is sort of an open-ended mutual fund that invests in short-term securities such as like US Treasury bills and commercial paper. And these are regarded as being safe as bank deposits and do provide a high yield. So all of these are still pretty liquid forms, but of course everything that was in M1 is more liquid than M2. So you would, yeah. So let's take a look at what these are for the United States. So here I have a chart that is just from the Federal Reserve Bank economic database. So you can really just type in Fred and type in the search window M1 and M2 and plot these graphs. And so here we can see that M1, which is the blue line, right? This is the narrower definition of money, is obviously less than the red line, which is M2. So here we can see that M1 and M2 have been climbing up, and you can see what those figures are as of March 16th. And this tells you on the x-axis, this is time, and on the y-axis, you have billions of dollars, right? And so you can see over here that M1 is 4,150, right? And this is measured in billions of dollars, so you can say that this is $4.1 trillion. Okay, so 4.1 trillion is the quantity of money that's circulating as either currency or demand deposits or traveler's checks. Okay, and if you look at M2, that number is a lot higher, and we are at $15.8 trillion. And much of the difference that you see, this big gap that you see between M1 and M2, is explained by savings deposits that people have.